Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our city council meeting. I ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Here.
Councilmember Dewey. Here. Councilmember Gibbons. Here. Councilmember Lizzo. Here. Councilmember Sears.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Here.
Thank you. We have one presentation tonight, our annual Arbor Day proclamation, which I will read and then present it to our city forester, Corey Meyer. Arbor Day is held every year in Kirkwood and is designated for planting trees. Kirkwood is known as the Green Tree City because of its vast number of trees and park area. Trees have always been important to Kirkwood. As early as 1870, residents were concerned about the appearance of the community and established a program for beautification, which has remained a characteristic to this date, due in large part to trees. The annual Green Tree Festival has been a highlight on the city's calendar since 1961. This festival was initiated due to residents' concerns for dying trees in the community. The Kirkwood Urban Forestry Commission was created on February 19th, 1998, to provide oversight and guidance on urban forestry issues. The Arbor Day tree planting will take place on Saturday, April 29th, where 2 trees, a black tupelo and a firewater oak, will be planted along the north side of Argonne at 115 East Argonne Drive. And an additional 31 trees will be planted throughout the city for a total of 33 trees in recognition of the 33 years the city of Kirkwood has been designated as a Tree City USA. The city of Kirkwood has been designated as Tree City USA for the 33rd year, with Growth Award distinctions in 1993, 1997, 2003, 2004, and the city received the Missouri Department of Conservation Arbor Award of Excellence for 2011 for the Junior Tree Keepers Program, and in 2019 for its comprehensive commitment to urban forestry. Now, therefore, I, Timothy E. Griffin, Mayor of the City of Kirkwood, on behalf of the Kirkwood City Council, do hereby to proclaim April 29th as Arbor Day in the city of Kirkwood. And I ask Corey Meyer, our forester, to come up and accept the award for the proclamation. Corey, you're up. You're welcome to. You don't have to. All right. Now we will go into our public hearing for this evening, which is a request for a special use permit, comprehensive marijuana dispensary facility, an accessory drive-through facility, and major site plan review for New Growth Horizons 10855 Manchester Road. Mr. Hessel, do you wish to enter any exhibits into the record?
I would, Mayor. It offers Exhibit 1, the affidavit of publication verifying notice of this public hearing appeared in the St. Louis County. Exhibit 2 is the affidavit of publication verifying notice of public hearing appeared in the Webster Kirkwood Times. Exhibit 3 is the viewer map showing the property that is the subject of the public hearing, as well as surrounding properties. Exhibit 4 is a list of property owners to whom notice of this hearing has been sent. Exhibit 5 is the report, amended subcommittee report of the Planning and Zoning Commission dated March 15, 2023. Exhibit 6 is the report from the Planning and Zoning Commission dated March 16, 2023, which by a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of a special use permit, comprehensive marijuana dispensary facility and accessory drive-through facility, and major site plan review for New Growth Horizons at 10855 Manchester Road. And Exhibit 7 is the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kirkwood.
Thank you, John. Before we get into the public hearing, 2 things. This is the public hearing tonight where the council is being presented with it. There'll be no vote. The first vote will be taken at our next meeting, which is May 4th, correct? May 4th. That'll be our first reading vote. And also, before we get into it, I'm going to ask the city attorney to just give a brief explanation of, the constitutional amendment and the limitations on the city of allowing facilities such as this. I think it's very, very important for people to understand that the right of this is given by a constitutional amendment voted on by the citizens of Missouri, with a few limitations that cities can impose. So, John, will you move forward then?
I will do my best, Mayor. As everybody knows, back on November 8th of last year, the Missourians passed Amendment 3, which legalizes the sale of recreational marijuana. Now, the constitutional amendment does provide that there are very limited regulations that a city can adopt with respect to the sale and subsequent use of recreational marijuana. The city council, upon recommendation of staff, adopted the most rigorous regulation that you could have, which is that a marijuana facility, whether it's a dispensary or manufacturing or whatever, cannot be within 1,000 feet of a school, place of worship, and a daycare center. So the city council took the most aggressive approach in identifying and limiting the locations to which recreational marijuana facilities could go. In addition to that, the city council passed ordinances back in, I'm going to say it was February, dealing with the use, the possession of marijuana. Again, we took the most aggressive approach we could as far as regulating those kinds of offenses that could take place. Now, having said that, everybody needs to recognize, and I know that this can be an emotional issue for people. I know that people are opposed and still remain opposed to the fact that recreational marijuana can be sold, but that was passed by the voters. We can't change that outcome at all. So we're very limited. The city council is very limited in the regulations that it can impose. Again, we took an aggressive approach by requiring applicants to go through a special use permit process. Some cities just allowed it as a permitted use. City of Kirkwood is not allowing that. As part of that process, again, the city cannot adopt regulations or conditions that would effectively ban or prohibit the sale of recreational marijuana through dispensaries. City council is limited in that regard. The only way that you could ban these kinds of marijuana facilities is by submitting that proposition to the voters. And I want to emphasize it. That doesn't affect this applicant whatsoever. You can't change the rules of the game by an applicant who's already submitted all of the necessary application and the documentation, gone through planning and zoning. Now it's before the city council. We said, well, wait a minute, let's submit this to the voters. It won't affect this applicant. If the collective wisdom of this body is at some point in time to submit that kind of a proposition to the voters, you can do that. But that's a discussion for another day. I want to emphasize it has no application whatsoever to what you're considering this evening. Planning and Zoning Commission imposed, I'm sure Amy will address them, some 23 different conditions. Again, that based upon the rights and powers that the city has with respect to regulating marijuana dispensary facilities. Again, I suggest that we are taking the best approach and I don't want to call it the strictest approach, but the best approach in regulating these types of facilities. And again, I just have to emphasize that's the law. I'm just here to inform and advise that you all need to follow the law, regardless of your own personal views on the sale of recreational marijuana.
Thank you, John. That was very helpful. Mr. Hawes, Chief Administrative Officer, who will present this to the City Council?
That would be City Planner 2, Amy Lowry.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The subject site is located on the north side of Manchester Road at the intersection of Clay. It is about 26,000 square feet. And there's a photo of, it's the former National Tire and Battery building. And then this is the photo from Clay Avenue. I just wanted to show you that because this will become apparent later, but there is a large retaining wall along Clay on this property. These are the existing conditions. The current building is about 8,600 square feet, and it has 3 drive-through service bays. The property line is actually at the east wall of the building. And the applicant does propose, and I'll show you that later, some circulation that would go around the building. So we are requiring that they would have a cross-access agreement with the adjacent property owner so that they could do the circulation that they are proposing. The existing curb cut right now is closed off with some bollards over here on Clay, and the applicant is proposing that that will be permanently closed. The current site has 22 angled parking spaces, 11 on the Clay side and 11 on the Manchester side. So the proposed plan is to remove 2 of the service bays and also the canopy extension in the front of the building. And that'll leave about 6,500 square feet. The remaining bay will be used for drive-through pickup orders only. And our use-specific standards under the code mandate the operations of the dispensing must be conducted entirely within an enclosed building, and the consumption or smoking of marijuana products shall be prohibited on the premises. So they are proposing hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. The Planning and Zoning Commission did request that a dumpster and dumpster enclosure be added to the site. So that has been added here since the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And they also asked for fencing. So the plan, since Planning and Zoning, has an 8-foot high fence on the north property line and a guardrail along that retaining wall I showed you the picture of before, and then a 4-foot high fence there on that side. So with regard to the parking, because they are doing 90-degree parking, they are achieving more parking spaces, but they're also adding 4 spaces in this area right here. So they're going to have 28 total spaces, and according to our parking regulations, they're required to have 20. And they also are providing 1 required bike rack, which is right here. So as far as under the code, the distance, as Mr. Hessel said, the dispensary has to be at least 1,000 feet away from a church, place of worship, daycare center, or a school. The only thing that's in the vicinity closest would be the Korean church down here. And they did submit an exhibit that shows 2 routes from the dispensary to the church. One of which is the north route, which would be coming from here and coming along the north side. And then crossing here back over to the church. The north route is 1,076 feet. And the south route, if you were coming on the blue line along here, is 1,082 feet. So the distance is supposed to be measured under the published regulations issued by the state of Missouri. And that calls for the distance to be measured from the external wall of the facility structure closest in proximity to the school, daycare, or church to the closest point of the property line of the school, daycare, or church. And measurements shall be made along the shortest path between the demarcation points that can be lawfully traveled by foot. So because they are removing those bays there, we would measure it from the remaining bay right here in this corner. This is the proposed circulation and queuing plan. As I stated before, they're going to be using having access on the adjacent property to do their queuing. And they have 160 queuing length for that drive-through bay. So they have 160 feet. We don't have a specific queuing length for marijuana dispensaries. It's actually up to the Director of Public Services. But a 9x160 queuing length is what we require for a restaurant. And that's the greatest queuing length that we do have under our code. And the drive-through is going to be for pickup order only as governed by the state of Missouri. There's going to be no menu boards or customer windows on the outside or any external speakers. So you will drive in, they will have a garage door, you'll come in, you'll pick up, it'll be like a window that you would have at a CVS or a Walgreens. This door in front would be closed, and then when the order is complete, you can drive out. This is a tree study that they did. There's really not a whole lot of change in the existing canopy. These are actually 8 red cedars that are city trees. They're in the right of way. They are proposing, and these trees are on the neighboring property. This K tree is an ash tree, which they are proposing to remove. And they are proposing to plant 1 little leaf linden in this corner of the property. And they're required to screen the dumpster with continuous screen of shrubs and evergreens, and that's what they're proposing. Because they are not adding on to the building and they are only adding 4 parking spaces, they are not subject to any landscaping requirements. The lighting plan does meet the city's lighting regulations with new pole lights and wall packs on the building being proposed. So Planning and Zoning Commission, as Mr. Hessel said, did impose a lengthy list of conditions. Some of them are general conditions that we usually impose, but the main ones were to limit the hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, which is actually in our code. Having no menu boards, speaker boxes, or sound amplification equipment exterior to the building. The P&Z did note that there is a need for a dumpster and a dumpster enclosure, and that will be reviewed by the Architecture Review Board. And then they did want fencing along the north and western property lines. And again, the overhead doors for the drive-through are to be closed during each transaction. So some of the things that council has to consider for a special use permit, there's a lengthy list of conditions. One of them is number 3, that they comply with the use specific standards on distances from churches and schools, hours of operation, and the conduct of business within the building. Additional conditions that council should be looking at. You can impose additional conditions, guarantees, and safeguards as necessary to protect the general welfare and individual property rights and ensure the special use will meet the intended purposes of the code. And then because they are changing the site slightly and it is a special use permit, they do fall under site plan review. So some of that criteria, again, another lengthy list of criteria, but one is number 4, the development meets all the requirements or conditions of any applicable development approvals, such as a special use permit. Again, number 16, fences and walkways as used are appropriate for the protection and enhancement of the property for the safety of pedestrians and for the privacy of occupants and occupants of adjacent property. And number 17 here, points of ingress to the development are controlled to design in a manner as to minimize conflicts with adjacent properties and developments. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, and the applicant is here as well, and they do have a proposal, or I'm sorry, a presentation.
Thank you, Amy. Go ahead. We'll have, who from the applicant's going to start the presentation?
Good evening. My name is Reese Williams from Armstrong Teasdale here on behalf of New Growth Horizon. Myself and David Bonenberger, the Director of Security and Compliance for New Growth, will be presenting and going through a few slides tonight. So as Mr. Hessel pointed out, on November 8th, 2022, Missouri voters voted to legalize adult use marijuana. And on January 5th, 2023, the city of Kirkwood placed the ballot question to tax the sale of adult use marijuana on the April ballot. And then on February 3rd, 2023, that was the first date that facilities could apply to convert from a medical licensee to a comprehensive licensee in order to dispense both medical and adult use marijuana. And then on February 10th, 2023, New Growth Horizons submitted their application for the special use permit with the accessory drive-through, the major site plan review. And then on February 16th, 2023, Kirkwood passed an ordinance amending their code to account for adult use and comprehensive marijuana. March 1st, 2023, was the first Planning and Zoning Commission meeting where the subcommittee was appointed. March 7th, there was a site visit with the subcommittee. And then on March 15th, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the special use permit for approval. So Ms. Lowry went through the background of some of the details here, but a marijuana facility is a permitted use via special use in the B3 zoning district. Drive-through facilities are a permitted accessory use also in District B3. And as Ms. Lowry pointed out, the facility will comply with the marijuana specific ordinances within the city of Kirkwood. And for the reasons that we are going to go through, that will satisfy the special use permit criteria, will satisfy the major site plan review criteria. The drive-through will satisfy the special accessory use, and the vehicle queuing lanes will satisfy all city requirements. And luckily, Amy went through the site plans pretty thoroughly, but again, this will show the fencing materials which were added to the site plan at the recommendation and as an imposed condition by planning and zoning that was included on the revised site plans that were provided on April 12th. And then there's the lighting plan, and then the queuing plan also takes into account the reciprocal access easement with the adjacent landowner. Proposed fire plan was approved by the City of Kirkwood Fire Department. And with that, I will pass it over to Mr. Bonenberger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Do you need me to identify my state? Who I
Yes,
am?
please.
Oh, sure, David Bonenberger. I'm the Director of Security Compliance for New Growth Horizon out of our Rock Hill facility at 2609 Rock Hill Industrial Court. Thank you for your time this evening. New Growth Horizon LLC is a fully vertical company that offers the best medical and adult use marijuana products to registered patients and legal adults in the state of Missouri. We operate under the name Proper Brands, and our product line is known as Proper Cannabis. We offer products through a variety of both cultivated and manufactured, which are infused product lines. Our brands are Proper Cannabis, Ratio, Goodnight, and Honeybee Edibles. We are the most awarded company in the state of Missouri, having been named Company of the Year, Brand of the Year, Best Cultivator, Best Manufacturer, and more over the last 2 years since medical marijuana became legal in the state. We're based out of Rock Hill, Missouri, where our state-of-the-art cultivation and manufacturing facility creates our highly regarded products. Our facility also includes our transportation division that is responsible for transporting our products to over 175 dispensaries throughout the state of Missouri. In November of 2018, Missouri voters approved Amendment 2, which legalized medical marijuana. And in November of 2022, Missouri voters approved Amendment 3, which legalized adult use of marijuana in our great state. Currently, there are 192 dispensaries authorized to operate in the state of Missouri, with a maximum of 24 dispensaries allowed in each congressional district. We currently operate 4 dispensaries that have been licensed and commenced for operation by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, Division of Cannabis Regulation. We have a 5th dispensary in Bridgeton that is complete and ready for operation, and we're anxiously awaiting final approval to begin operations from DHSS/DCR. We included some photographs of our current dispensaries just to show you the aesthetics of how our dispensaries are oriented and what they look like. We have one in downtown Kansas City at 1421 Wabash Avenue, 9933 Watson Road in Crestwood, 7417 South Lindbergh in South County, and 711 North Highway 47 in Warrenton, Missouri. Our Warrenton and Kansas City dispensaries incorporate the added benefit to Missouri patients and consumers by having the convenience of a drive-through. Our drive-through service operates in almost identical manner to a pharmacy drive-through like a Walgreens or CVS. A drive-through does not allow for an immediate order as there are no drive-up speakers or menu kiosks. Our drive-through service is pre-order only. We're compliant with all DHSS rules and regulations, which are strictly enforced. It's very rare that a drive-through would have a line of patients due to the pre-order process and very specific proof of identification that must occur prior to any transaction. This will also eliminate any potential for traffic congestion or problems when engaged in the drive-through transaction. And as stated earlier, we have a drive-through in our Kirkwood plan. The difference is our other stores are external drive-throughs like a CVS or Walgreens where you drive up, everything's exposed. This one, we have the added benefit of it being an enclosed structure, completely contained and secure with the doors being closed at all times during the transaction. We're also making significant investments in our locations, and our building renovation plans include very distinctive aesthetic properties and improvements over the existing structures. Our investments are not simply financial, though, as we are investing in the communities. We'll be offering adult resident consumers and patients a superior product, along with educational consultation by a highly trained staff. The results of renovations will be a beautiful building that will improve the aesthetics of the area. The benefit of a drive-through will also assist consumers and patients with filling their needs without having to leave their vehicles. We have found this especially helpful to patients who suffer from PTSD and wish to avoid crowds, those who are disabled and have difficulty getting in and out of their vehicles, and those who are terminally ill and immunocompromised, unable to enter public areas. We have the most professional management team in the state. I have to yank my own chain here a little bit. I apologize. Our Director of Security and Compliance, me. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with over 25 years of experience in the St. Louis metropolitan area. I'm responsible for the security and compliance of the entire company, and I maintain a very close relationship with the compliance division of the Department of Health and Senior Services Division of Cannabis Regulation. I meet quarterly with all law enforcement agencies where our buildings exist. We contract a third-party security group, Campbell Security Group. They're retired law enforcement and veteran-owned, extremely professional, and I trust them wholeheartedly to manage all the operations of physical security at our facilities. They're uniformed, armed, and licensed by St. Louis County through the St. Louis County Watchman's Division. I was going to elaborate more, but I don't want to yank my chain. I have a hard time. I apologize. Our investment's not simply financial. We're invested in Missouri. The New Growth Horizon Charitable Foundation is the charitable arm of Proper Brands. We aim to set the bar for cannabis companies using our platform to help not only our patients, but our communities. We focus on 5 main areas of giving: mental health and qualifying conditions for medical marijuana, criminal justice and reentry, education and employment, homelessness and housing, and general betterment of Missouri. Since our launch in 2021 with the first annual Proper Classic Golf Tournament, which raised over $25,000, we've donated over another $50,000, which is actually closer to 75 now, to charities across Missouri. Most of those charities are chosen by our own employees. Would like to say that our facilities are among the most secure in the entire state. We go to great lengths to make sure that our facilities have the best burglar alarms, the best camera systems, the best recording, and we exceed all of the standards that the state imposes. For example, they require that we retain video footage for 60 days. We retain it for 120 days. They require battery backups of 30 minutes for in the event of any power failure. Ours is 90 minutes. And we have backup generators at the Rock Hill facility that give us the ability that if the power goes out, we're able to record all of our remote locations, our dispensaries on that server. We're not required by state law or state regulation to have armed security, however we choose to do that. They're very highly trained and very capable. With that being said, I want to thank you again for your time.
So I just briefly wanted to touch on some of the key special use permit criteria briefly. The proposed use is a special use in the zoning B3 district. The proposed use is consistent with the general purposes of the code within the B3 commercial district. The proposed use complies with all of the city of Kirkwood's marijuana specific ordinances. The site will have suitable landscaping and site fencing that was at the suggestion and then a required condition by planning and zoning as reflected in the site plan. The proposed use will be harmonious with the existing commercial character of the B3 district. The attention to the detail that this company puts into its facilities will clearly be an upgrade over the existing vacant old tire and auto center. And lastly, the proposed use does not involve activities that will be detrimental to the general welfare by odors or traffic. The queuing plan exceeds, all the expectations and meets the most stringent requirements. And the noise, it's limited to 9 p.m. The site-proof fencing has been incorporated into the plan. And again, the design of the building will not result in the destruction or loss of any natural scenery in the area. And the proposed use will not impede on the orderly development of the B3 commercial district. So with that being said, we thank you for your time and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Why don't you maybe sit next to Amy?
Yep.
Because I think we'll probably have some. We'll go to questions from the council. Tonight, start with Councilmember Dewey. Anything?
Yeah, a couple things. One is that, and I've seen the facility in Crestwood, it's significantly smaller than this one. What's going to be going on inside the building? It's a big building.
Excuse me. So when people come into the building, there is a vestibule that is an area that is specifically non-cannabis. It's separated, there's electronic doors, and you have to have specifically allowed access. Once you go in there, there's a window where they'll be greeted by a greeter who is behind a bulletproof glass, and there's a speaker inside there so they can hear. And they're asked to present valid identification. Once their age or patient status is validated and verified, they are then allowed entry into the waiting room. Inside the waiting room, we can only have enough people that is dictated by occupancy permitting, which I don't know what that is just yet. But they wait their turn. They are consulted with any questions that they may have. And then when their name in the queue is called, they're allowed entry into the dispensary, another secured area that you cannot get in without being allowed in. Once they're in there, they're met by a patient care specialist who then inquires as to what their needs are. They take them through the various tour of the facilities and identification of products through different materials and display, and then their needs are met. The state of Missouri requires that we do not have more than a 1-to-4 ratio of patients being the 4 and patient care specialists being 1. However, our standards dictate it's no more than a 3-to-1 ratio. And then they are supplied with, they're given their total, they're rung out at the point of sale. Their order is verified. They are then given their products in a discrete package, and then they are allowed to exit the building. It's a circular entry, and they go in one door and they go through and they come out the other door. And it's a security design that way. So you kind of have a vestibule trap space, if you will. So people are allowed an egress out the front of the building. But by design, the building can only have one access point for patients and consumers, which would be the front door. They cannot come in any other door. And that's the way we operate. And that's the way our design is set up. Did
Great,
that answer?
that was helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Gibbons.
I noticed that you are closing at 9, yet in the letter that was written by Mr. Mansfield, it says 8 o'clock. What happened?
That was me, Jamie Mansfield. Miss,
Oh,
yeah, no,
sorry.
not a
Miss
problem. I get
Mansfield.
stuff addressed to me, Mr. Mansfield, all the time. I do not mind whatsoever. No, that was definitely, I think, residual, because at the time we did apply for this too. I believe the amendment was coming through its last rung through city council too. And so we saw that the hours of operation that you guys did a lot for allowed 9 PM. And so my letter was a mix up. We corrected that on record at the P and Z hearing. And we are going to have that be 9 PM here today on the record. Whatever you need from me as far as a letter correcting that, I'm happy to give that to you guys. But we've,
So
make that
the
clear.
code says that they can be open until 9.
That's correct. We want to be compliant with the code. Thank you.
One of the things that I'm wondering about, Amy, I'm looking at you, the curb cuts coming in and out. I'm just wondering if we really have to have both curb cuts in and out. Couldn't we shrink one of the curb cuts and make it in only and maybe the other one in and out? George, you're gonna.
George, presume he
I'll
was
speak to
gonna.
that. For the-
He just jumped up.
Yep, well, it was curb cuts. For the record, George Stock and Associates Consulting Engineers. With regards, there was an exhibit that was shown, and the fire access requires those two means of ingress and egress to circulate. And the curb cuts themselves are just wide enough as they exist today to be able to accommodate that vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, in the pictures that you were showing, especially the one in Crestwood, I mean, the windows are all covered. I'm assuming we're gonna just have all covered windows in Kirkwood as well. It's not very attractive.
Kara McKetty, I'm the owner of Eddy Design Group. We're the architect and designers for Proper Cannabis. So the facilities, Crestwood was I believe they took over a license of another user, and we did not do the full renovation of that space, but the Warrenton and South County buildings, we were part of our design and full renovation. And the current plans, which we're going through right now, and which will be submitted to ARB, will include a whole new front facade. I will say that the Warrenton location won best retail design of any retail design, cannabis or otherwise, for the last 3 years in the region. So design, look, appeal, aesthetic is of top priority to Proper Cannabis, and it will look and maintain a similar look and feel as what you see, particularly of the Warrenton site, is some of the options that actually we were developing even as of today that will proceed with ARB.
Okay, good. I'm counting on you to make it more attractive. Gosh, the security makes you feel like nervous about, I mean, I'm glad you have all the security, but yet at the same time, is it I guess it's necessary. So does that mean, our residents should be concerned because of all the security that's required, apparently?
I subscribe to the philosophy that it's better to err on the side of caution. And the easiest way to solve a problem is to eliminate the problem. So our security is all there. The state requires security cameras, burglar alarms, all those things, panic buttons, door access controls, electronic door access controls, whether it be card access or biometric readers. We go through the card access. The security is there as a visual deterrent, but they are essentially hidden from the public's view, the consumers and the patients. There's a specific office in there where they monitor the cameras inside and outside the store. There are some negative connotations associated with when people walk into places and they see fully armed security guards. Especially in this industry and the newness to it, there's a natural aversion to uniform authority figures. We try to eliminate that. As far as the question is, should the citizens be concerned and scared? Not any more so than if it were a bank or that it's a pharmacy.
Or a snow cone stand. Just saying.
It's okay. Location, I guess. I don't know if that was an answer to a question or just a comment. So-
He's yanking your chain.
And will they be there? They'll be there from 8 until 9.
Actually, they'll be there an hour before open and an hour after close to ensure that every consumer, patient and employee is safe and gets to their car. We also, just so you're aware, our Rock Hill facility houses our mainframe in addition to all the security equipment that's, viewable at the location of the dispensary. And we have 24-hour monitoring of that, live monitoring through our armed guards that are on site at Rock Hill 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the things, I'm really excited about the new Audi dealership that's coming, and they are going to be adding 145 more shrubs than we require them. Because you all are going into an existing location, you're not the only ones you're going to have to put is the one tree and the shrubs around the dumpster. But I asked Amy what the requirement would be if it was a new facility, and it would be 12 canopy trees, 7 evergreens, and 52 shrubs. So I really am hopeful that you will make the facility more friendly with shrubs and trees. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Councilmember Litzo.
Thank you. Well, I have some of my questions have been answered already, but, Amy, I would, because I didn't attend the planning and zoning and I didn't notice from the notes, were there, comments, concerns from nearby residents about the facility?
We had no one from the public come and make any kind of comments.
Okay. And I don't believe that I've received any emails. I don't know if, unless my memory is failing me, I don't think we've had any comments directly to us expressing concerns about this proposed change. So I agree with Councilmember Gibbons about the landscaping, and I'm hoping to see I don't know, before second reading, or that we will see a landscape plan or something. I don't know if because I don't see anything really submitted.
Councilmember
mean,
Litzo,
there's-
just a landscape plan is not required, so we will not see one.
Well, I am interested in trying to improve the aesthetics of the
Oh, understood. And
neighborhood.
I think they hear that, but we
Okay.
can, there's no landscape plan required, so we cannot ask for.
So as a
plan or-
condition of the SUP, there's no possibility to require them to
Nope.
go over and above.
Can ask, but you can't require it. I just interpret the ordinances. I don't write them.
Okay, well,
And required.
I mean,
This existing.
yes, I understand
To
that.
add
but-
that as a condition is something that's not allowed under the code. They don't have to do it,
But you can ask.
but you can ask. And I think they'll hear you and hopefully respond accordingly.
I sort of recall in the past requiring things like at the pizza place across the street, to add additional plantings. I thought it was a condition of approval. But I may be wrong. I mean, I would strongly encourage the petitioner to, and if, as Ms. Manfield claimed that the Warrenton shop really is, an asset to the neighborhood, because right now it is pretty, the former NTP is pretty sad looking, and we're trying to change the whole vibe of the Manchester corridor and make it more walkable and more aesthetically pleasing. So I think this will, to enhance the green space as much as possible, and what MoDOT allows along the frontage and through other planted islands, whatever, to try and make that sizable piece of property look a lot better than it does today. That would definitely be something that I would be looking for and recommending. Amy, there's something I was reading maybe in the P and Z thing or in one of these papers about the FAR requirements, that for B3 it's 2.0 and this currently is at 2.5. Does that mean that they are over the floor area ratio requirements, or am I
No,
misinterpreting?
They're not. That's misinterpretation. So I'm not
Okay.
sure what.
I mean, there was definitely something in here about FAR. I'm not making that up, thinking that maybe they had to
They're
seek
not.
a variance, or if the building as it's going to be downsized still somehow.
The FAR is 2, and for this project, it's 0.25. So
Oh,
they're way below.
0.25.
Yes.
I thought I read 2.5. So I was thinking that it would need a variance. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. Regarding hours of operation, back to that, the condition for hours of operation, I was just wondering about the verbiage, because it said it shall be 8 to 9. That sort of paints them into a corner that it must be 8 to 9. If they, at some point in the future, would want to change the hours of operation for whatever reason, I was just wondering if it might be advisable to change the verbiage that the hours shall not exceed 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. or just leave it as is.
I think that's a valid point, Nancy.
Sure.
Tinker with that language.
Because right now they have to have it open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. The way it's currently worded. So,
Not the intention, but I understand your point.
Yep.
well, if they don't want to open till 10 a.m. or,
That's
you
why I said
know.
It's not the intention to
Yeah.
mandate that they be open from 8 to 9.
Right.
The intention is that those are the allowable hours. So
Right.
changing it to clarify is
No more beyond that, no earlier and no later. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe something to consider there. And ARB will review elevations, sign package,
And the dumpster enclosure.
dumpster enclosure, which I'm expecting that the dumpster will be enclosed with a similar certainteed product and maybe the same
I would
color.
assume the certainteed product or block maybe to match the building. I don't know what
Okay.
they've.
That would be an option. All right. So, and I don't know if you're who best to ask this question. I'm just wondering from the relatively, well, we've had medical marijuana available for a while now. And recreational is relatively new for the state of Missouri. I'm just wondering from experiences within the state, have there been unexpected or unintended adverse situations that have been reported from existing dispensaries in other jurisdictions that we should be concerned about?
I'm not aware of any. Jonathan, are you aware of any?
No.
Mr. Bonner might
yeah.
be able to speak to that.
Last summer, St. Louis area was experiencing several burglaries of marijuana dispensaries, gun stores, and other like hemp CBD stores that didn't sell medical marijuana. There was a certain group of individuals who have since been arrested, charged, and are currently awaiting adjudication in Missouri courts, wherein they broke into dispensaries with various tools, big concrete blocks, stolen automobiles. They did not I believe there was 38 in total in a 2-month period. And they caused hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage and reaped very, very little reward. And the reason for that is because those folks that were the unfortunate victims of the burglaries had their facilities set up in such a way that it didn't allow for them to make entry into the areas where products were stored. There was no daytime issues, no robberies, no attempted armed robberies. So that has not happened yet. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. I mean, I do have concerns. I mean, like I said, we don't have experience with any of this. I'm not in this line of business, so I appreciate candid responses to what kinds of things that, and I would think that you all and the owners are, looking to all the possible scenarios and trying to head it off at the pass so that, it's prevented, interdicted, whatever, with your airlocks and all your other kinds of security measures.
Trying to make us the hardest target possible.
Mhm. I'm wondering, and I don't know if you would be the representative from your team to discuss this. So there's a question with St. Louis County about sales tax stacking, and I'm just wondering if you foresee, because this may be challenged, whether St. Louis County can impose additional sales tax on top of what the city of Kirkwood is. I'm just wondering, have you considered, maybe Jamie can answer this,
We're probably the best at answering that.
what's the possible, is there any possible red flags that we need to be considering about a possible challenge to the St. Louis County tax stacking issue?
From where you sit here on the city council, and I'm sure Mr. Hessel can back me up on this, there's absolutely nothing that you guys need to be concerned with respect to your 3%. Again, that was written into the Constitution. You guys did it by the book, put it on the ballot, it was passed. With respect to the stacking, that is wholly outside of your guys' purview whatsoever. Right now, as I understand it, there's a kind of a fight going on with the, county association. And then with respect to the industry right now on making this, it is taxed and is taxed at a higher rate. In fact, medical marijuana is taxed a different rate than even recreational. And so to have this additional 3% on top of it, plus another 3% by the county, you can imagine that would create some issues. But I think right now, even the Missouri Department of Revenue has come out and said that you cannot do it, but yet there's a little bit, I could say probably a little bit of political play going on behind the scenes that still is a question. But with respect to what you guys are taxing here at the city and what's already written in the Constitution, that's a given. There's no changing that without going through proper procedure or constitutional amendment or your own ordinance to lessen it.
Okay, thank you. Let's see what else. So I don't remember. It was already indicated that there won't be any adverse odor being emanated from the HVAC exhaust system. I mean, most of your products are prepackaged and there's no handling or processing going on inside this thing. So odor to the nearby residents and all of that, or even outside the facility, that's not going to be an issue.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And absolutely no consumption on the site whatsoever too. So anything.
That too. I mean, that's a given. I'm more worried about
Odor
the
emanating,
smell of
right.
skunk weed is just not a pleasant. No. Let's see what else. I was just wondering, Amy, any other unknowns that I should be asking about this? I mean, I don't have enough experience.
Up and say unknown is.
Yeah, no, there's known unknowns, and then as Rumsfeld talked about unknowns, and I want to know about possible unknowns that I should be asking, but I don't know enough about it to ask it. So if you have, or anybody in this room knows of anything that I or we should be asking about this to ensure that this whole thing is going to go well and be run properly and not become an issue for the city of Kirkwood or the surrounding communities, I would please bring that to my attention now. Otherwise, I think that's all I have at the moment. Thank you.
Councilmember Sears.
Yeah, not much. I agree with it's an opportunity to kind of beautify that location, which is sorely lacking at present. So I would encourage the best that you can come up with. I'm not asking anybody to require it, but I just make that, I'm on board with, making that just as attractive a property as can be. I get emails, which I thought were general, at least one, and maybe some of them were in the paper, but the ones just to get out there what they were about. I think there was not one that was not in Kirkwood, one not at this location, and another one where there was a mistake in the measurement made. Those are three different public comments that came either to council, either through emails or the paper, I think. Well, I made a note about the odors, I guess, matter of taste, I suppose.
Smell.
About whether they're offensive or not
Well,
is,
and it apparently is
Some
not
of this
germane
stuff.
to this discussion, that there will be none. So,
correct.
okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, well, I'm concerned with basically impact, and probably of a more long-term nature. Since not only this municipality, but our entire state is a newbie in this whole industry. I think it'd be important for us to get some knowledge based on those states who've been out in front of this for some time, see what their experiences are. I'd like to get some kind of data that shows us what happens with crime levels. My hope is that by legalizing marijuana, it will have a reduction in overall crime in the area, but who knows if that's going to play out. But I'd also, because then I'm not only looking at the criminal aspect of it, what happens there and how that might impact our need for additional resources for law enforcement, but from a financial standpoint, the one thing that the constitutional amendment didn't grant is an increase in income for those who are buying this stuff. So basically, the cannabis can cannibalize you see what I did there? Can cannibalize our other retail sources, and I'd like to have some sense of what that looks like.
All right. Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes, thank you. Several of my questions are already answered. I guess my last question for tonight would be the lighting of the facility, since this is an existing facility compared to other facilities that you have. Is the lighting satisfactory, especially around the back of the building, on the side? Any concerns about the lighting with this existing facility? Because obviously, if it was not existing, you would.
So there's new wall packs and there's some vertical poles that are being put in. There's a lighting plan that's part of the package and it's in compliance with the city's code. So it's be better lit than what it has been historically, but no off-site illumination onto the residential properties or the public right of ways.
Thank
I
you.
have.
Thank you. Thank you, George. All right, do we have anyone from the audience wishing to make comments?
Mayor and council, we do have some requests for comment. First one is Megan Shar.
Sitting over here praying my phone doesn't die. Hi, my name is Megan Shar. I live on Avery Drive, which is about a block away from the proposed site. I have about at least 6 other neighbors who couldn't be here tonight to voice concerns as well, but hopefully they'll email. My concerns with this special permit are primarily with assumed increased traffic, moving to more of a retail facility. I know that the numbers of people inside are 3 to 1, but they also are adding more parking spaces than they ever had for NTV. We're very close to the intersection of Manchester and Lindbergh, and we're on a pretty good incline. If you've ever tried to turn from Manchester onto North Clay, just past this location. It's pretty hard to turn in and out of there when there's just one car because it's so narrow. 2 cars being at the intersection makes it pretty impossible to turn in and out. This morning, we were standing at the bus stop and had 2 buses trying to get on and off, and they couldn't do it. You have a bus stop that's a block away. I have 2 elementary school boys who frequently walk up and down our streets, and there are some areas where we don't even have a sidewalk. There also is already a lot of traffic that cuts through our neighborhood to avoid the Lindbergh-Manchester intersection. Some of who are speeding and passing school buses as they are loading and unloading. We feel that this business will create more overturn of traffic than the one previously in this location, and adding a drive-through could make it that much worse. Anyone wanting to make a left on Manchester from the parking lot will be tempted to turn right instead into our neighborhood to cut back up onto Lindbergh and use the intersection light. As a side note, I'm not sure if I feel better or worse that there will be armed professionals constantly existing at a location where our middle schoolers walk by to get to and from North Middle School every day. Or the fact that this is a business going in where the public feels weapons and bulletproof glass is necessary next to our homes. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Craig Spore.
Thank you. Craig Spore, I'm a 27-year resident of Kirkwood. I love it here. I'm currently raising 2 girls in town who go to Kirkwood schools. The applicant seems to have found all the right legal loopholes to come this far in the process to locate the store in the city. Just from the tone of the feedback from the council, it seems like nobody is really happy about this. Except for the applicant and the self-proclaimed movie star advocates. It used to be that any new business enterprise should seek to serve its community, regard the security and the neighbor's interests, even at the expense of profit. I guess said another way, nobody is making you do this. So Councilman Ward was asking what it's like in other states that have gone down this route. I've completed a work assignment out west in a community not unlike Kirkwood. And what I've seen in that once prosperous community is a surge, joblessness, homelessness, car fires, violent crime, trash-strewn streets, and a nauseating reek wafting from open car windows, parked at abandoned playgrounds because families don't feel safe there. Nobody believes this is right for Kirkwood. Thank you.
Rebecca Donaldson.
I'm just going to read from an email that I did send to the council members and the mayor. in late March. And listening to the audio from the March 15th Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, much time was spent on the security plan for the proposed new growth business. And a P and Z committee member even suggested an extra physical layer of security to prevent cars from driving into the front of the building in order to steal. When it is expected for crimes to increase alongside a new business, shouldn't that be a red flag for our community? The NTB property is in a defined business district, but the houses and adjoining neighborhood is so close. Children play on the street that runs parallel behind the business. Within a 10-minute walking radius, you can walk from the former NTB property to a church, a Montessori school, a municipal park, and North Kirkwood Middle School. A comprehensive marijuana dispensary and drive-through is not a family-friendly, community edifying business. Please consider the human costs of inviting this business to our community. The effects won't just be confined to the small neighborhood directly north of the property. Please make a better choice for the future of Kirkwood.
Ellen Parkus.
Hi. Forgive me if I babble. I wasn't really prepared for this, but I live at 184 Dorak, which is literally, this is my backyard. The fence behind your dispensary is my backyard. Now, these are all lovely pictures of the front of your dispensaries. I notice there's no pictures of drive-throughs that literally are in somebody's backyard. Are these in residential?
Excuse me,
properties?
just.
I'm
face it.
sorry.
It's okay. That's
I,
okay.
I,
That's
I'm
okay.
wondering, sorry, I'm wondering if any of these are literally back up. Okay, because my fence is where they're proposed. I don't know what kind of fence they're proposing to put up. First of all, let me just say that I've got nothing against adult use marijuana. I've got nothing against legal weed dispensaries, whatever, but, and perhaps this is selfish of me, and I don't want to be a NIMBY, but not in my backyard. The hours from 8 to 9, I work from home. I've got a little studio. So not only is there my house, but my studio is literally 5 or 6 feet that I work from. I'm on the phone all day, trying to be a professional. What's to keep this queue in the nice weather, have their windows down and blasting their music? I realize there's not going to be, any outside speakers or whatever, but you got a queue of 10 cars. I wouldn't want to drive through Hardee's in my backyard either. So I want to know, what's going to be done to address the fact that this is backed up to a residential property. This is not good for my property value. For nothing else. I mean, yes, it's selfish, but how long is this lighting going to be on? Are there going to be security cameras focused in my backyard 24/7? Have any traffic studies been done? Because I don't remember her name, but like the woman said, the traffic there, it's going to be the Saturday before Easter Sunday in front of Honey Baked Ham every day. We've all driven by Honey Baked Ham around Easter and Christmas. And we know what a nightmare of traffic that's going to be. This is just going to add to it. There's going to be people trying to make left turns onto Manchester, totaling their car like I did about a month ago, got totaled trying to make a left. What else? How do you say it's not going to increase noise and traffic. How do we know? What traffic studies have been done? What noise studies have been done? What else? The lighting. I'm assuming this isn't up to a vote of the public. It's going to be you folks that decide. Citizens of Kirkwood have no, and granted, I understand it. This is the law. We may like it, we may not. But does the law mandate that we have to allow a drive-through? Do we really need a drive-through cannabis dispensary in my backyard when I'm trying to work? That's all.
Mayor and council, there are no additional requests for comment on this public hearing.
Sure. Come on up. Just give your name. Okay. Give your name and address, please, just for the record.
My name is Ed Pfeiffer. I live at 190 Dorak Lane on right off of Clay. I sit directly behind the proposed development. And my concern is the lights being on till 9 o'clock at night or all night long. My other concern is the privacy fence that you're going to put in. I would suggest something large and blocking for purposes of privacy. My backyard backs up directly to this piece of property. My biggest concern, though, is with the traffic. It's been mentioned here before about the traffic coming off of Clay onto Manchester. That's already a bad intersection. And with cars exiting from the Tire America or the proposed marijuana facility, you can't see to make a left-hand turn out of Clay Avenue. They've also constructed a concrete barrier there, a curbing, which restricts the flow out of Clay Avenue. The traffic study should be done. You have 28 parking spaces plus a drive-through. There's going to be a lot of traffic coming in and out. I just don't see it. It's a bad intersection there and it's going to get worse. So that's my input on it.
Thank you very much. All right. Seeing nothing else, this item will be on our new business agenda, as I mentioned before, at our meeting on May 4th, and I now adjourn this public hearing. Thank you. I can see that happening at some point. All right, let's go to general public comments.
The public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
Thank you. We have anyone wishing to speak?
Mayor and council, there is a request to speak from a Jared Snyder.
All right.
Mayor Griffin, council members and guests. My name is Jared Snyder. I'm the program director at Alpine Shop, Kirkwood Business at 440 North Kirkwood Road, at the northern end of the parallel parking demonstration zone. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of our owners, Russell, also known as Holly, and Lisa Hollenbeck, the more than 60 employees who work at this location, and our guests. In Holly and Lisa's words, again, I'm here to be the messenger. We're emailing these remarks to you in advance of tonight's council meeting and would like for these comments to be part of the minutes of the meeting. We are sending myself to deliver them in person to ask for help in assuring the success of this weekend's big event, which I'm in charge of. So that's how I wound up being the person here. We don't expect you to know that we're celebrating 50 years in business this year, or that we've moved here from Webster in 2002. We do hope that you believe our business has added value and supported the values of the community that we have joined 21 years ago. We now have 4 brick and mortar retail locations in Missouri and Kansas, and we sell online at alpineshop.com. Our headquarters, flagship store, and warehouse are at 440 North Kirkwood Road in a lease space where we have 60 to 90 employees, depending on the season. We contribute about 7 million in sales, and to Kirkwood and the special business district benefit from that. We're open 7 days a week, which is more days and longer hours than most Kirkwood retailers. And our customers arrive on foot, by bike, on motorized scooters, by motor vehicle, sometimes with kayaks or bikes on top or on a trailer behind. They all arrive via Kirkwood Road. Because we're a small family-owned business, our most effective marketing has been putting on events. In addition to our twice yearly big swap events, we regularly invite guests to our special events. In fact, in 2018, we were honored with a national award by Backpacker Magazine for those efforts. as well as to toot my own horn a little bit. 4 of the 5 of our races were voted best in category by Terrain Magazine, a local Midwest publication. So, we sent a letter recently to the mayor and all the council members, and I hope that you all received that and had the chance to review. Plus the Webster Kirkwood Times last week. As of 5 p.m. today, we had acknowledgements from just 2 council members, Mark Zimmer and Liz Gibbons. And we don't even know if the other members have seen them. So we would please like to help, please help us to assure that this parking thing does not harm our staff, our guests, or our second biggest event coming up this weekend. If you would like, I also have flyers that I could be more than happy to pass out for our event.
Yeah, thank you.
But we're not here to tell anyone how to do their jobs, but to please help ensure the safety of our guests. And by kind of looking at this issue, if there's anything that we can do to help increase the safety of folks that are entering and exiting our business on Kirkwood Road, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor and council, there are no additional requests for comment.
That's good. I'll do that. All right. Thank you, David. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion. Got a motion. Is there a second? Second. All right, motion is second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. Unfinished business, Bill 10971.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance amending the provisions of the municipal code, chapter 25 zoning and subdivision, and chapter 20 streets and sidewalks regarding revisions to requirements for outdoor dining and outdoor seating areas.
Are there any questions or comments? All right. Oh, Councilmember Litzel.
I have a question. I wasn't here when you all did first reading last time. I was just wondering, I expect that these changes may further encourage more outdoor dining, either with 12 or more, or, you know, or the higher bar. And I'm just wondering if there might be any unintended consequences of encourage. And I think outdoor dining is definitely something that's desirable, and I have always pushed for it. I did when I was on planning and zoning myself. So I think this is a good thing, but I'm just wondering if there might be any possible unintended consequences of taking these measures to encourage it, as far as, I don't know, sidewalks, I'm not sure even, you know.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of the planning department, but I'm going to speak in generality that when the planning department determines the appropriate level of adjustment, they look at all consequences, unintended and intended, and try to find the point at which we have a workable situation that will mitigate unintended consequences.
Okay. I mean, just so that
I mean, you're
not just the advantages of doing this and the
Right, that's what I mean, that's what it
desirability
all
of
sounds
doing this, but we're making it possible, you know, we're inviting it. So what, you know, what kinds of things, you know,
I think those were all considered.
they've already
Some
been
of-
considered.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
I mean, increased need for parking. I don't know, you know, what,
I think that's
all the
why
what,
there's a limitation on the number. See, if there were not a limitation on the size of the approval, I'm not sure what that noise was. If there were not a limitation on it, I believe it's 49 seats or whatever the number is, then some of those unintended consequences might become more difficult.
more.
So
yeah.
they find that sweet spot in there where they believe, and this is by professional analysis and training and experience, to find that level that is going to do its best to mitigate those unintended or negative consequences.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Litzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Ward, Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Bill passes. Bill 10972.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $65,000 from the general fund balance to the police department overtime account due to increased operating expenses in the police department for fiscal year 22-23.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey.
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Bill passes. Bill 10973.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance reappropriating $62,350 from the capital improvement fund balance to multiple facilities accounts.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey.
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Bill passes. Bill 10974.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $14,711 from the Certificates of Participation Series 2022 to the Fire Department Rolling Stock Account, project number FD 2308, and amending the purchase order with Sentinel Emergency Solutions LLC in the amount of $14,711 for a total amount of $939,865 for the purchase of a Rosenbauer rescue pumper for the fire department, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue an amended purchase order.
Any questions or comments? Councilmember Lizzo?
I'm just wondering, and I'm sorry, because I wasn't here last time when this was first presented, but Russ, I'm wondering any inflationary considerations in the purchase of this rescue pumper? Is this one of the large pieces of equipment that we sort of planned for and ordered way ahead of anticipated need because of supply chain issues? And like, what was the original budgeted amount for such a piece of equipment, and how much has inflation impacted this eventual almost $1 million?
Okay, first of all, it is a large piece of equipment. There's no doubt about that. It's almost $1 million, and we are very careful in identifying our needs in procuring this. It's been through the procurement department. It's included in the certificates of participation. I don't have that exact budgeted amount, but it's within the budgeted amount. The $14,000, as discussed at the prior meeting, was for a better anodized treatment on the chassis, which will resist rust and so forth. So that's really the only adjustment being made here. It's not anything beyond that. The vehicle has been in the capital improvement program and been vetted through various discussions with council in placing it there, and it's now up for purchase.
Right.
Does that answer your questions?
Well, kind of. I thought that there were some pieces of fire equipment that we were ordering
And we have done that in the past.
early because we anticipated delivery issues because of supply chain and all that kind of
We did
stuff.
that with
And
the
I was,
mini pumper, and it actually, and you saw it arrive here
Right.
just in the last couple of months.
yeah,
This one, I believe, has a locked-in price at the number that we're at. And we're going to take delivery when it is built, which I believe is a year from now, it'll be delivered.
mhm. I mean, mainly I'm asking because if it applies to this piece of equipment, that there were claims that, oh, the cities are reaping all kinds of additional funds because of inflation, et cetera, et cetera. And
If only
it's
that were
been
true.
argued that, revenues may be up, but inflation has also eaten away at any increased inflation. And I just wanted to,
Expenses have been eating away at any increased revenue levels due to inflation. In a lot of places, expenses have exceeded the level of revenue generation due to inflation. This particular vehicle is in a locked-in price, and I think it's time that we finish purchasing it.
Okay.
It's my recollection that this piece was a stripped down piece of equipment. There were a number of things on.
They
there
took
that-
some things off it. You're correct. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, you look, the second whereas clause is we approved this for 9/25/154 back in August 22, and then the addition of Assistant Chief Zeitz was here last meeting, explained what the additional amount is for, which Russ did, so.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Bill passes. Bill 10975.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending and readopting the provisions of Appendix E Personnel Rules and Regulations of the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Bill passes. We'll go to new business, Bill 10976.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance vacating a 10-foot wide easement that exists on Lot 1 of Woodlawn County Club Grounds as recorded in Plat Book 37, page 3 of the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds, located in the city of Kirkwood, St. Louis County, Missouri, and more particularly described on Exhibits A and B, attached here too and incorporated by reference herein.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10977.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance vacating a variable width easement that exists on the tract of land on the 10-230 and 10-240 Manchester Road Consolidation Plat in the city of Kirkwood. As recorded in Plat Book page 370, page 409, Plat Book 370, page 409 of the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds, located in the city of Kirkwood, St. Louis County, Missouri, and more particularly described on Exhibit A attached here to and incorporated by reference herein.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10978.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Article 2, Intoxicating Liquor, Divisions 1 and 2.
Is there a motion for approval?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion, and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10979.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $25,221 from the Equitable Sharing Fund balance to the Police Department Machinery and Equipment account, accepting the bid of Public Safety Solutions Missouri LLC in the amount of $25,221 pursuant to an NCPA cooperative contract for the purchase of a CAD router system for the police department, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons.
I just would like an explanation of equitable sharing fund. What exactly is that? Because the next,
Money.
the next thing we have is from that too, but earlier we had one from the general fund to go to the police
Oh,
department.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to explain that. The Equitable Sharing Fund balance is a collection of funds that are delivered to the city as a result of our participation in drug task forces and other cooperative engagements with local and federal interdiction groups. I probably that's the best explanation. When they recover or confiscate vehicles, money, that goes into a holding account as the vehicles are liquidated through auction and so forth. And then that's redistributed to those who participated in the recovery of those perpetrators and the funds. So that is, and the city receives that, and those funds are dedicated to specific purposes within the police department. That's why you will see certain things come from that and other things that are not eligible for those types of funds, or just we determine that the funds are not going to be used for that purpose, come from the general fund or somewhere else.
Anything else? All right, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10980.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $16,800 from the Equitable Sharing Fund balance to the Police Department Machinery and Equipment account, accepting the single source proposal of File on Queue in the amount of $16,800 for evidence management software for the police department, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. Resolution 46, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of RTM Contracting at the rates provided in the bid tab sheet, a copy of which is attached here too and incorporated by reference herein. Amount not to exceed budgeted funds for infrastructure restoration and repair services for the water and engineering departments for an initial term of 12 months with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms pending budgetary approval, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions or comments? Right, no question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was, I
Sorry.
thought you might. No, I mean,
What is infrastructure restoration for water and engineering? It doesn't really explain it in here. Are we doing that pipe? I don't know. What is it?
I'm going to let Bill Benson because he's my.
He needs to get out of his chair at least once tonight.
I gave Chris the night off, unfortunately. Basically, it's the repairs of sidewalks due to water main breaks, and repair of pavement to water main breaks. It's the restoration when water main breaks they also do part of our sidewalk program also. Once we have tripping hazards, people call in tripping hazards, this company will come out and do the repairs of the sidewalks.
Oh.
And those are the infrastructure repairs.
thank you, Bill. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 47, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of JL Contracting LLC in the not to exceed amount of $571,876.80, which includes a contingency of $51,988.80 for the Clay Avenue Bridge Rehabilitation Project, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? No, just making sure. No, Councilmember Lizzo.
Well, I see here that actually the initial project was dialed back and is not going to include pavement and sidewalks. Is that because it's not necessary, or this is a funding thing, or?
Probably let Bill Benson come up on this one again. I mean, I could try to take a stab at that, but he's real close to it.
It's budgetary. Okay, initially, this project was bid out last year and we got no bidders on it, okay? So we had to change the scope a little bit, and to do the budget this year, it's well over the budget. So we had to scale it back. This is strictly going to be for some repairs to the bridge itself. The expansion joints need to be repaired, and a water drainage issue that has caused the deterioration of the blocks is
Yes.
going to be fixed. And then there's going to be stabilization of that wall also that has to be done. That's the major part of it, is the stabilization of the block wall and the repair of the block wall.
Are you talking about the block wall that's part of the abutment or the decorative wall
It's
that's?
the decorative wall.
Okay, because that's really deteriorated.
Correct.
Yeah, that's kind of a mess over there. I was looking through my stuff trying to see when we last worked on this bridge. It wasn't all that long ago when we
Probably-
refurbished the bridge, painted, it was closed down because the railroad has to come with flagmen, blah, blah, blah.
Right. At that time, that was probably in, I would say 2014, 15, maybe 16, okay? And that was on the west side of the bridge. We had some block wall that is deteriorating also. And we had, at that time, we painted the bridge and we did some restoration of an upper part of that wall. And that was, like I said, about 2014, 15, 16, something like that.
Right, less than 10 years ago.
Right.
So when do you expect this project and are we going, is the bridge itself going to be shut down again?
It will.
Traffic?
There will be probably some temporary closures on day-to-day basis. And there'll also be a lane closure, a full lane closure for a while. We're gonna keep I think it's the northbound lane, or no, the southbound lane will stay open, but we will close the northbound lane for a while during construction activities. So there will be a time where it's one way on the bridge.
Because southbound is the railroad detour,
Right.
typical route. And this is gonna launch soon?
As soon as we get it approved and as soon as we get it scheduled, I would expect it to probably be late May to the beginning of June, probably,
Okay,
to start and be under construction.
okay, all right, thank you.
Councilmember
Bill?
Givens?
Just got a quick question. The concrete gonna match?
Oh,
No,
You're gonna put white concrete on there?
yes. We
it
have
won't
three-
be white long. It'll get dirty.
month or
All right.
two.
I suspected you might ask the Gibbons Foundation to fund.
We've been through this quite a few times already.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 48, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of J.W. Bomarito Construction in the not to exceed amount of $1,203,589. $1,203,589, thank you. Which includes a contingency of $109,417 for the West Essex water main replacement and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we got motion and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, pick either one,
Boy.
Laurie, whoever you want, whoever you wrote down. All right.
Down there.
Any questions or comments on the resolution? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 49, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution granting the Chief Administrative Officer with the authority to execute contracts for the procurement of professional services for the Kirkwood Performing Arts Center, not to exceed the adopted budgetary appropriation.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a
Second.
Second? All right, any questions or comments? Who's first? Councilmember Gibbons.
Just wondering who signs these now?
Well, we have,
Nobody really.
Okay, we're trying to get something down in writing, huh?
right, what this is all about is an ability to be nimble and to lock in dates. And where we're working with booking agents and things along those lines to try to go through a procurement process and then have council approval, we could lose things. So we're trying to get different types of activities in there
I mean, various contracts are signed by me, various contracts are signed by the KPAC director. But when we're talking about an ability to be nimble and so forth, that's what this is about. Is there another question?
Oh, I basically wanted to know what this was all about. So same question.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Move on to city council reports. Anything to report? But that's okay. More informal. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, so you had the Arbor Day proclamation earlier, and I want to remind council that we're having a formal Arbor Day event, downtown, on the 29th, Saturday, the 29th, starting at 9 a.m. till 12, I believe, and they're gonna bring, forestry equipment demonstration, 2 trees will be planted, tree planting techniques will be, demonstrated. There'll be booths and food and entertainment. Also, I looked for the sign up genius, which couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's a comment on the user or what, but they, Urban Forestry is looking for volunteers to help plant trees because in addition to the 2 downtown, there's going to be another 31 trees that are going to be planted around town. So if anyone cares to help plant trees for that day, there was supposed to be some kind of an online sign up mechanism for that, but I couldn't find where it was today, so I apologize for that. Also, as far as the Alpine Shop, I love the Alpine Shop. I sincerely hope they don't go away. I support them. One of my soon-to-be 41-year-old sons cut his eye teeth working his first job at the Alpine Shop when it was in Webster. I think it's a great, wonderful business. Lisa and Holly are great additions, and their business are definite assets to our community and to that neighborhood. And I congratulate them on their 50-year anniversary. I'm also a Terrain Magazine subscriber, so I know that they're front and center in that magazine. So I think they are awesome and wish them a great spring 23 showcase.
Well, just following up on that Alpine Shop, they're apparently very concerned about this Saturday and Sunday. And I think they have an event on Friday night, don't they? And it all has to do with the demonstration. Could police maybe go down there a little more often, or could we show some way of being concerned for them as well, that we want them to be successful?
And I'll be glad. If that's a question, is that a question?
I guess it's a
Or was it
question.
more of a statement?
Yes. Well, no, I guess it's a question if maybe the police could just keep an eye out for this
There's
weekend.
definitely a concern for their concerns. I personally went down to identify if the cones were marked correctly, you know, the location and if there was ability to turn in, to have good sight distances and so forth. And I'm not a traffic engineer, and I don't purport to be one, but I saw no difficulty in cars. I sat there and I watched, and I saw no difficulty in cars turning in or exiting. They do have 2 ingress egress points. If someone is not comfortable coming out on the south side, because you do have to sort of stick your nose out a little bit to see around the construction, which is only a temporary thing, but it is at the time they're having their event here. People can certainly go up to the north entrance and exit and pull out and make a left turn there with no obstruction. But yeah, we are concerned. And I could certainly mention police that you're concerned there.
That'd be good for this weekend, so they know that we're, I just wanted to tell you a couple of things. The art show at the KPAC ends on May 12th. So if you haven't been over there, I suggest you go. Brian Haynes is a Kirkwood resident. His things are on, one of the ones that are being looked at. We were also told at the Arts Commission that the K-PAC is booked every Friday and Saturday night from now until December. So congratulations to us to have that, all that going on. The library has a $1.6 million endowment right now. So good for them. They also have purchased a large printer, really large. I mean, it'll print all kinds of things, so citizens can utilize that. They also have something called a Charlie cart, and it is a portable kitchen. So when they're going to be doing cooking demonstrations and things like that, it has a sink in it. I don't know how it all works, but kind of cool. And they are also going to be adding a section of dementia resources. So I think that's a really great thing. And then I also want to let you know, I sat in on a MoDOT meeting the other day about Amtrak, and Kirkwood's going to be getting a new platform. And it's a $1.2 million project that Amtrak's putting in, 350 feet long, lighting, and there'll be one on each track for passengers to load and unload. So this is really going to be, and they're going to be using some of the same stone as our station. So it'll, look like it. They're also working at being able to get more bikes on the train. There's a committee to look at that. Right now, depending on the cars, it's pretty limited, maybe 6, maybe 8 at the most. And then just lastly, ridership getting on and off in Kirkwood was up 100% from last year, actually over 100%, which remember, there was only one train last year. However, none of the other stations have increased their ridership like Kirkwood has. So good thing. That's all.
All right, anything else? All right, Chief Administrative Officer report.
Yes, I've got two requests, actually. City's received an application for liquor license, picnic license from Four Hands Brewing Company for the Kirkwood Beer Run on April 29th, 2023. This request would require city council approval by voice vote.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
For a second? All right, motion second, questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes.
All right, and similarly by voice vote, the city received an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from Walmart, 1202 South Kirkwood Road, to have an outdoor display of mulch, potting soil, furniture, fertilizer, et cetera, from April 22nd, 23 through September 22nd, 2023.
All right, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I've got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Anything else, Russ?
That's all I have, Mayor.
City Attorney report. City Clerk report.
Yes, Your Honor, I have one thing to report on. I have the certified election results of the April 4th, 2023 general municipal election that I will read into the record. The April 4th, our ballot measure was Proposition M. Would you like me to read?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So the April 4th, 2023 election, the yes votes were 1,999 and the no votes were 830. So those are the election results. And that is all I have.
Very good. All right. Next meeting of City Council will be May 4th at 7 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.
Did that rain? I don't know. I didn't hear it.